Yep.
So today we're actually weaving together a number of things. We are continuing on herbs and spices this year. And so today we are looking at cardamom. Cardamom, as I mentioned a few weeks ago, is a very unusual spice. It is grown in a number of places, mostly Indonesia, some Sri Lanka, some in Persia, Morocco, Tanzania, India, and there are three kinds. This is the most common, and I'm going to show you down here what this, actually I pull it up like this. So this is a white cardamom. It's going to look a little bit darker on your screen. This is what it's ground, and then you've got the whole cardamom. Cardamom is actually a seed from a pod, and that's what makes it expensive. You have to extract the seed from the pod. It has kind of a bitter taste that is used in savory and sweet items. So for example, the Dutch do a lot of baking with cardamom. The Persians do cardamom coffee. So a tip for today is if you want that kind of coffee, put a tablespoon of ground cardamom into a pound of coffee and then grind that together from the beans. And it makes for a very different kind of drink. I'm actually weaving cardamom today into Black History Month, oddly enough, with the passing of Cicely Tyson this last week. And oddly enough, this book, as I had pre-ordered it, came the day she died on the 28th of January, which I thought was kind of interesting. And in an interview with her, she talked about not just the history of this book before she passed away, and she wrote it last year, 2020, because she realized she finally had something to say. And she was asked about her favorite dinner party and who she would like for that dinner party. She was married to Miles Davis for 7 years, and he has passed. Yet she said she would love for him to be at that dinner party. And that dinner party would include cardamom, oddly enough, in something I'm going to demonstrate for you today called clafouti, which kind of sounds Greek. All right. It comes from the French clafir, which means to fill. So this dessert actually features cardamom, and it is her favorite thing to serve for dinner parties. So as we look in what clafouti is, it's black cherries and cardamom and almonds that you put in a base of a pan, and then add a custard, which is a bit of milk and a bit of flour and a bit of sugar, a little bit more cardamom. Whip it all together with a bit of vanilla extract. You can just whisk it, and then you bake it at 375. Sarah will send out the recipe. It's very simple. I made this with almond flour today instead of wheat flour for those of you who are gluten-free. It comes out the same. And what you can do then is spoon it out, kind of like this, or you can cut it in a wedge and then serve it with a little bit of mascarpone or creme fraiche or powdered sugar, as Cicely Tyson would actually serve for her own dinner parties. And then, because we're talking about love and liberation, I was asked to come up with a cocktail for that particular event. And I looked up, and I'm going to look up here for all of you, the history of bartending, Black bartending in this country, celebrating Black History Month. And I learned that the cocktail culture of the United States actually exploded in the early 1800s with the invention of potable ice, particularly in the state of Virginia. Black servers would make drinks for white women and white men then. With emancipation after the Civil War, those Black men became mixologists and ran their own bars. And there was a group of them called the Mint Julep or the Julep Kings, right? So the Julep Kings or the Mint Julep Kings. And they came up with the recipe that I've adapted for you today, which is a classic mint julep. And you probably know this from the Derby days, right? What is a mint julep? It's very simple. You muddle, which means you press a lot of fresh mint. Here's a lot of fresh mint into the bottom of a glass with about an ounce of simple syrup. What is simple syrup? It's basically a 2-to-1 ratio of sugar to water that's boiled down and then left to cool. And you can see you can keep this in a jar for a year, actually, in your dark pantry. So 1 ounce of simple syrup muddled with mint, and then you add your bourbon of choice. This is a Trader Joe's, not expensive at all. This is $15 for the bottle. The alcohol of choice in the 1800s, when the Julep Kings were in full force, was actually rum. So from rum, we've gone now in the 20th century, in the late 1900s, into bourbon, right? And this is very simple to make. And it's just 1 ounce, as I said, of simple syrup, 2 ounces of bourbon, crushed ice, and then you drink it down. Great. This is, however, the classic way to drink it. this kind of silver or pewter glass, which I thought was kind of interesting. And that comes from the 1800s when people had silver service and they were served this way. So if we look at love and liberation and what we're doing in the end of this month, you know, you might want to consider this cocktail for that evening. Next Sunday, I'll be presenting a non-alcoholic cocktail related to Valentine's Day and love and liberation, that concert. And again, you might want to consider this Clafouti concept honoring Cicely Tyson and all she's brought to the world. That woman was in business, in, you know, acting on stage and in movies for over 70 years. So her read is very compelling in that way. And I hope that if you're interested, that this book might just bring that to the fore for you. There's actually a divine feminine idea of this too, which might be useful for our book club. So there you have it. Next week, I'll present another herb and spice. I'm not sure what that's going to be yet. It might be cayenne, kind of doing spicy things with such cold weather. So
Sharon?
there we are. Yes.
If you like ginger beer, I don't know if you can see this. There's cardamom in the ginger beer.
Is that a Trader Joe's ginger beer?
No.
Okay, because they have one with cardamom in it. Yeah, great.
This has a whole list of very unusual ingredients. One of them is cardamom.
And actually, thank you for mentioning that, Terry, because cardamom, why would that be in ginger beer, right? The taste, and also it's a digestive. Cardamom, like ginger and black pepper, even cinnamon, come from an Ayurvedic background of using spices and herbs, not just for the taste and for the look, but for the medicinal properties. And so cardamom is one of those that, like, if you're having a hard time just after a big dinner or you're having a hard time sleeping, you add cardamom and ginger, black pepper to milk, whether it's coconut milk or cow's milk or goat's milk, you heat it up and you drink it to soothe the stomach. So cardamom pods opened up for, like, 3 of them in a small cup is a really good way of just settling your stomach.
Sharon, fascinating, Sharon. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, thanks for watching this YouTube video. If Unity's message of positive spiritual living resonates with you, I hope you'll subscribe to our channel so you can stay up to date on other lessons as we post them. Also, if you're able to support us financially in the work that we do in the world, please check below for contact information. You can visit our website, find more about what programming we offer, as well as how to give. Blessings.